Today's Asar B'Teves, a very rare occurrence where Asar B'Teves can fall out on a Friday, because any fast day falling out on a Friday basically is impossible except for Asar B'Teves, which is really interesting. And someone said, hey, by the way, Asar B'Teves actually happened. We had two Asar B'Teveses in 2020, right? We had one in January of last year. It was the 10th of Teves. We had the fast, and now we have one in December. Full circle. It makes perfect sense. It's amazing. But I'm not going to talk about COVID this Erev Shabbos as I give you a message about Parshas Vayigash. I'm not. I did. I'm not. I'm going to talk about Simcha. I'm going to talk about an incredible Simcha that we've experienced in our lives, Jordana and me, in having this incredible experience of our son getting engaged. Right, all of you, many of you have known Simon since he was 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, whatever, as a kid, growing up, and engaged to Lauren Borenstein, his girlfriend for a long time. And we're just so excited. And in honor of that occasion, I'm not going to tailor my Dvar Torah exactly to COVID, because Simon always bugs me about, Dad, every Dvar Torah you give, it relates to COVID. I'm like, well, that's where my head is at. Well, our head's in a different place, so let's think about Simcha for a second. So we have the incredible pinnacle of Yaakov's life, where he is finally reunited with his son after 22 years, right? And it's sort of, penance for the 22 years that he was away from his own father after he ran away, after he stole the brachot, and then he comes back. But now we have this incredible reunification of father and son, longing for each other for so many years, right? Yosef, knowing Yaakov was there, perhaps mourning him, perhaps, who knows, maybe he forgot him, maybe he didn't. It's not clear what his status was. As we know, in the beginning of the Parsha, Yosef asked, is my dad still alive? Like, maybe you were just telling me a sob story. I want to see my father again. And, Yaakov, obviously, thinking his son was, ripped apart by wild animals and killed, but somewhere deep inside, feeling, well, I haven't seen a body. Something's missing here. I feel like somewhere deep down he's still alive. And here they come. And Yaakov's great. I gotta go. I gotta see him. Oh my God. He's so pumped. He's so excited. And the Torah details, them literally falling into each other's arms. I'll read it for you. Vayasor Yosef Merkavto. Joseph, right, the leader, the viceroy of Egypt, he hitches his chariot, Vayal Likrat Yisrael Aviv Goshna, and he hears his father's there. He gets a text or something, right? His father's there. He runs over to Goshen to see his father. Vayera Elav. And he appeared to him. Yosef, Dad, it's me. So dramatic. Vayipol al tzavarav, and he fell on his neck. Vayefk al tzavarav od, and he cried on his neck again. What's missing here? So Rashi brings down, based on the Medrash, which I'll read to you, what's missing? What did Yaakov do? Yosef falls on his neck and he cries. What did Yaakov? Did Yaakov not fall on his neck? Did Yaakov not hug him? What was happening? Says the Medrash famously, and what was Yaakov doing? V'lama lo nishek Yaakov leYosef. Why didn't Yaakov kiss Yosef? Embrace him? Lefi shahaya korei ba'ot hasha b'kriyat shema. Because at that moment, it was man kriyat shema. He hadn't davened shachris yet. And he said kriyat shema. That's one idea. Or the more sort of basic, the more kind of fundamental concept of no. Because at that moment, as Yosef saw him and Yosef was emoting and embracing and crying and kissing, Yaakov stood there stoically and said kriyat shema. What does that mean? Who could ever understand this? Saying kriyat shema. Oh, so there's a beautiful Hasidic art, that he's taking the love that he has for Yosef, and he's turning it to Hashem, right? Because he's taking that love and he's channeling it to God and thanking God for this moment, because really it's not about him and his son. It's not about what he's feeling. It's about what God put him through and wants him to feel. And he's taking that love and he's channeling it to God. Beautiful, amazing. It's lacking something to me. And I never understood it until a couple of weeks ago, when I think I did. And I have, I think, an awareness of what's going on in Yaakov's world as this is happening. Yaakov sees his son after 22 years. He left him. He was a 17-year-old shmendrik. He's a little pisher. Not to say that Yosef, he's Yosef. And he sees him 22 years later, a viceroy of Egypt, an accomplished, incredible young man. And he covers his eyes for Shema. Why? Because he's saying, who is this kid? He is what he is now, but where'd the time go? And he's going back in his mind to when he was 17 years old, to when he was 12 years old, to when he was 5 years old, to when he was 1 year old, to when he was born. And fast forwarding, right? Because, wow, the time just flew by. And here he is standing before him. That's why Yaakov will say Kriyat Shema. Because the only being in this world that can relate to such an incredible experience like this that a parent has for their child, to realize that in the blink of an eye, your child has grown up. He's a young man, he's a young woman. There's a maturity. They're living their lives. Is Hashem. Because Hashem has seen our kids all the way then, going all the way back. Hashem can relate to that experience. Only God. Because in one fell swoop, Hayahu Vevi, the past, the present, and the future are all converging in that moment. That's what was happening for Yaakov. And I know what I experienced and what I've been experiencing over the past couple of weeks as this is setting in, that I have a son who was a little pitzela. Fine, he's not 40 years old. He's still a young man. But how he's grown, how he's matured, how Baruch Hashem, he and his Kala are going to build a Vayit Ne'eman B'Yisrael. May we all be zoche to moments of Kriyat Shema, where we're able to see and bask in the nachas of who our kids were, of who they are, and ultimately of who they will be. Have an amazing, Simcha-filled, faith-filled Shabbos. Take care, everyone. And Happy New Year!